Australian PM arrives tonight for two-day visit. Lands calls for surrender of SABLs. And police union says officers not vacating houses.
This is National EMTV News with Neville Choi.
Good evening, it's Friday and this is the news. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull will be arriving in Papua New Guinea this evening on a two-day official visit. Mr. Turnbull has said the trip will focus on trade, security, economic growth and education.
It will be the Australian Prime Minister's first official visit to the country. He will meet with Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and visit the famous Kokoda track. The visit to the historical track will be to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the New Guinea campaign in World War II. Mr. Turnbull said the visit is an opportunity to build on the bilateral economic relationships in PNG and the Pacific. The official visit will also involve several business events, including a joint Australia-PNG entrepreneur and innovation showcase. Mr. Turnbull looks forward to reflecting on both countries' strong shared history and cementing a special relationship with its neighbour. He will depart on Sunday for India. Delhi Waigeno, National EMTV News.
The call is out for all special agriculture business leaseholders to hand in their leases to the Lands Department for further action. This is from the Lands Minister and Acting Secretary. This call-out follows the cancellation of all SABLs in the country, a decision made by the government.
Following a meeting on Wednesday, the 5th of April, Minister Allen says the Lands Department is now tasked to write to all SABL holders to return the leases to the department.
SABL lease, it's all cancelled, so they should now come forward to the department and surrender their title. So
the developers, investors who are sitting out there, it is your honor, so we encourage you to come forward with your titles now. Most those titles under the SABL which you've got is already just a useless paper.
The government's plan is to convert all SABLs into voluntary customary registration.
So it's just a conversion that we are doing so.
What we will do is we will convert those SABL titles back to something that is workable, and we'll give it back to them.
SABLs became a national issue when customary landowners found out that leases were issued without following proper processes and without their consent. In most cases, SABL occupations meant police brutality and forced alienation from traditional gardening sites and water sources. Paul Pavel, an award-winning environmental activist, was in Port Moresby in February to voice these concerns. His tribal land in Pomio is also under SABL occupation.
Police companies. There is no buffer zone, there is no freedom, there is no. Okay, something no at me plus staples and me staples engines and sin carabus. So this is what special agricultural system bring come to Papua New Guinea. Now I said the foundation were behind future premium by no at freedom long. Suppose you start helping metal slaves.
For these communities, the SABL experience means they have lost faith in any form of government land registration. To this, the acting secretary says,
Your questions, those landowners who does not want to participate in any development process and who does not want to do anything with it, I think it's conscience. You take your land back and hold it. Thanks. You take your land back and hold it. We do not want to do anything with it.
But the message to the leaseholders is clear.
Those developers who are currently on the land, the title that has been cancelled, SABL, they must cease their operations and pack up and move out of that land. Thanks.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
The PNG National Party says more information about the true state of the economy must be released by the government. Today, the party's 54 registered candidates met in Port Moresby to discuss national issues. High on the agenda was the state of the economy. Bethany Harriman with this report.
Today at the PNG National Party Convention, Parliamentary Leader and Sinisina Yongumul MP Karenga Koa said the government must clearly state where the economy is financially.
And it needs to come out in more detail. What is the full extent of our debts? Number one. How much money are we paying monthly towards the reduction of those debts? Number two. Number three, for how long are we going to be locked up in this debt? How long will it take to pay up these substantial debts?
Just last week, Treasurer Patrick Pruitt said the economy is bad and blamed PNC leadership. Kua says when he was Attorney General, he spoke out about the prudent management of the economy, but he got sacked.
Some of the main decisions that have a major impact on government are made even outside of cabinet. Like the UBS loan we are talking about, the purchase of the oil set shares. And that's the kind of friction that led to Don Polly being sacked, remember? And also to me being sacked.
There are talks of diversifying the economy, an area former IRC Commissioner General Senagora Bogan advocates about. He is contesting the lay open seat.
We're putting all our hopes into LNG, we're putting all our hopes into gold, copper, oil. These are the resources and the bonanza that we should leverage on that to grow the sustainable sectors.
When the Treasurer Patrick Pruitt publicly stated that the economy is failing, it contradicted what the PNC-led government had been saying all along, that the economy was doing well. Yesterday at the National Research Institute, the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill still maintained that the economy is doing well and loans are taken out for service delivery.
As the economy continues to grow, as the population continues to grow, we must continue to deliver services to our people. How do you do that if you don't have the funding mechanism that is available to ensure that these services continue to roll out?
Several parties have now called on the government to release detailed information about the country's debt levels and finances.
The Papua New Guinea National Party's policies are centered around a better economy. They speak of diversifying the country's economy to provide employment. But whether or not these policies are implemented will go back to the people's decision during this year's elections. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News.
Mainline workers' unions in PNG have formed a new alliance with the People's Progress Party. PPP leader Ben Micah says the alliance is a positive step for unions, who he says have been suppressed over the past 5 years. A memorandum of understanding was signed yesterday.
Nearly 200 union members from different union bodies gathered yesterday at Port Moresby's Nature Park to witness this occasion. Unions from both the public and private sector spoke highly of the less attention given by the ruling government on the concerns.
It's a very important time in the history of a political change. There must be a shift in policy, and we are here to promote that policy so it can work for the betterment of Papua New Guinea. It is very important, your timing here, it's going to go a long way.
This move comes as the country prepares to go into the national elections with issuing of writs at the end of this month. Unions have a number of petitions presented to the government with many awaiting responses.
The time is now for a political will of change. For your party now as the golden opportunity to provide a shift in policies that will change the living standards for all Papua New Guineans.
Speaking to the unions, PPP leader Ben Micah says the alliance by unions show confidence of the party. Micah says unions will play a critical part in decision making.
The affiliation of the PNG workers with the workers' wing of PPP will enable the workers to have direct input into policies and laws affecting their welfare and interests.
The unions and PPP pledged to stand together to address outstanding issues to recognize PNG's labor force.
And this idea of employment has deprived many of our people the right to dignified living.
Party leader Ben Micah says PPP will endorse 53 candidates for the 2017 national elections. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
The Bougainville Police Service has been engaged to provide security in the 2 separate elections conducted in the autonomous region of Bougainville. Chief of the Bougainville Police Service, Francis Tokura, told MTV News in Buka this afternoon that this was a resolution passed by the Bougainville House of Representatives. Fabian Hakalitz with this story all the way from Buka.
Bougainville is hosting 2 separate elections, the community government and the national general election, as part of the agreement between the Bougainville Police Service and the Office of the Bougainville Electoral Commissioner. The community government election started this week, where the Bougainville Community Auxiliary Police are involved.
Allocate 4 NCOs in each of the sub-regions, that is 4 NCOs in North, 4 NCOs in South, and 4 NCOs in Central. Basically, just to provide supervision and command and control to the 300 plus CAPs who are actually involved in the community government elections.
The regular police personnel will be engaged during the conduct of this year's national general election, assisted by the community auxiliary police.
In the service we have about 240 regular Bougainville Police Service officers.
In Boca, Fabian Hakalitz, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Bougainville Police Chief Tokura has also warned intending candidates to follow electoral laws and refrain from early campaigning. While intending candidates have been conducting election awareness, Mr. Tokura called on voters to look out for anything illegal like vote buying and report it to responsible authorities. You're with National EMTV News. We'll continue with more stories from today after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. The police union has responded strongly against attempts by company Red Sea Housing Estate to remove police officers who recently moved into the new Bomana barracks. Police union president Loa Tambua said the department will not adhere to the contractor's 30 days ultimatum to vacate the barracks over an outstanding amount of 40 million kina. Tambua advised the contractor to liaise with the government to pay the outstanding bill because it is a government project. Erika Rupma has this story.
The police union has not tolerated moves by contractor Red Sea Housing Estate in the media regarding the decision to remove the 150 police officers and their families residing in Bomana Barracks. Police union president Loa Tambua questioned the contractor's 30 days eviction notice, saying despite negotiations by Commissioner Baki and the government to resolve the matter, it has fallen on deaf ears.
Red Sea, you're justifying your reason as to the 40 million variations fee something, costs. All right, now, that is for the government and the Red Sea. It's nothing to do with the employees. The employer, it's for the government. Now, the policemen and women are employees of the government. And those houses were especially built for policemen and women to move over there, especially the Goros barracks.
The matter is recent due to the long delay in outstanding payment of 40 million kina owed to contractor Red Sea Housing Estate for the construction of houses in Bomana Barracks. The 150 houses were built in 2014 but were left vacant due to outstanding payments by the national government for almost 2 years.
The situation at Goron Barracks, it's been condemned by health authorities of NCD. And we can leave our people while working tirelessly 24/7 and allowing families to be affected by all the rot, all the garbage, all the stink at Goron Barracks. Now, we're not going to tolerate this nonsense. We're sticking by the decision to assist our members. They have moved, and we will stand by them, allow them to habitate there, and get the government to settle this bill.
On Monday, 150 police officers and their families moved into the new houses in Bomana Barracks due to the chronic state of infrastructures in Gordon's Barracks. This follows directives from senior officers in the police department. Erika Rupma, National EMTV News.
The Huon Gulf District in the Morabel province has built 2 new houses and given 3 new vehicles to the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. This follows the district's commitment to establish a police presence in the Wampa LLG. This morning, local MP Ross Seymour presented the keys of the vehicles and houses to RPNGC Commissioner Gary Bucky.
Wampa is one of the 3 LLGs in the UN Gulf district. For at least a decade, the LLG was without police presence. As a result, it saw an increase in alcohol and drug-related crimes. The district stretches from Nadzab to Mudzin and shares district borders with Bulolo and the Northern Province. The presentation of keys this morning signifies the invitation to police officers into the LLG. Lucy is one of the mothers in the Wampa LLG. She acknowledges the move the district administration took to address the law and justice issues in the district. Receiving the keys on behalf of the constabulary, Police Commissioner Gary Bucky says such partnerships with local MPs are significant to the force at district levels.
Yes, police department is a national function. Also, my assistant commissioner belum itu. Samlo leader mi plago talk imal balo talk nogati. I am national function but you must go. Now all people below community usad by 7.
Today's commissioning of the vehicles and buildings mark a new era in the UN Gulf's law and justice sector. Thekla Gunga, National MTV News, Leh.
More than 400 men, women and children whose houses were destroyed during a clash at Leh's Boundary Road settlement in October 2015 are still waiting to return to their former homes. The displaced families are still negotiating with authorities on resettlement. One of the women living in the temporary shelter told MTV News they have been informed that they will be relocated before the election period. Martha Louise reports from Leh.
At least 429 displaced settlers at Boundary Road settlement were moved to the Morobe governor's official residence in September last year. Their resettlement followed clashes that erupted in October 2015, resulting in the burning down of several houses and leaving families homeless. They have been advised by concerned authorities that they will be relocated before the national general elections. But when is still a question.
All by kisi mipla na baul go inside before the display election. Osem na mipla wait tasol na mipla look forward long.
It's been 7 months since they moved here. Life is becoming tough and they have to fend for themselves. They are engaging in informal business to sustain themselves.
Mipla line through side mipla been stop now some work money na school na buy rent na tax golo government and mipla usad got title long this all block na section blo mipla and mipla all geta stop yet.
These displaced families have been living at Boundary Road settlement for over a decade, and their only wish is to return to their community before the year ends. Martha Louise, National MTV News, Leh.
Water and sanitation remains a big problem for the Duke of York people of East New Britain. Despite a development boom happening in Kokopo, the 15,000 people on the nearby island continue to face a severe shortage of clean water and inadequate sewage disposal. Drinking and cooking using unclean water from dugout waterholes and bathing using the sea is considered a normal way of life on the island. Edwin Fidelis brings us their story.
We've come to Miyoko Palpal Ward on one of the 9 smaller islands that make up the Duke of York group of islands in East New Britain province. It is about an hour boat ride from Kokopo and it is one of the 5 local level governments in Kokopo district. Its beaches are what holiday brochures are made of, but beyond these breathtaking views of its spectacular beaches lies a big problem. About 15,000 people live here and water and sanitation remain their biggest daily struggle. Clean water for cooking and drinking is a scarce necessity on the island, and the people occasionally use the sea to bath and as a toilet to relieve themselves.
One family.
Inlamin Sebulon tells me there's no running water in their homes and never has been. Their source of clean drinking water is at the mercy of nature, but the problem gets worse when it doesn't rain.
Time nogat wara time lo san, mi play sakisim lo well.
It's the same problem all over the island, in Lamin says. It represents years of government neglect, she says. But their challenge is not just about water and sanitation, but to convince the provincial government to attend to their needs.
Only tol buy mol tank, tol own yet, all some supply blow government, and me play to some one ibayam. Na suppose nogat wara na mi buy stop drink cool out as well.
Channeling district funds towards water and sanitation infrastructure hasn't been a priority for the Duke of York people, but there are efforts taken to improve the life on the island. The International Organization for Migration is one of the humanitarian organizations that has been in the forefront, hoping to make a breakthrough to come up with long-term solutions to change the way of life on the island. On Wednesday, when the IOM visited the island, the people celebrated.
Thank you!
The team led by Chief of Mission for IOM, Lance Bonnell, marked the signing and handing over of the Disaster and Risk Management Plan to various stakeholders, including the East New Britain Provincial Government.
We're not here to do things for you, we're here to partner with you. You have the leadership, you have the vision, you have the experience, you know where you want to go. We thank you for inviting us to come and help you.
While IOM assists in identifying possible solutions, the funding of such projects that make up the contents of these booklets hinges on district's money, something that the people on the island haven't felt in many years. But in the heart of Kokopo Town, the district's capital, there is a vast contrast. A multi-million kina water and sewage system is being built for the city. But about 10 kilometers across the sea from the provincial capital, Inlam in Sebulon and her children prepares to head back home on a canoe, and they know they don't have a choice but to drink from the well and use the sea to bath despite the unseen risks involved. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3145 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3070 US, $0.4046 Australian dollars, $0.2864 euro, and 33.78 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee, and copper closed higher, while cocoa closed the day lower. Palm oil, crude oil, and copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 14.8 points higher, the ASX closed at 6.22 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 5.28 points higher. You're with Friday's news. When we come back, all the latest on the Syria chemical weapons attack. The US has responded, dropping missiles on Syria's airbase. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, US President Donald Trump has responded to the Syrian chemical weapons attack on civilians with missile launches on Syria. Discussions on the missile launch has been widespread in the media. Here is a discussion on the issue by Australian channel Australia Plus.
Basically, the question was, given this is a direct strike by the US against the Syrian regime, and given Australia's alliance with the US, are we now effectively at war with the Syrian government?
No, I don't think we are any more than we have been previously, and it's really interesting to consider how do we know we're at war these days. Nobody declares war. The Prime Minister here in Australia retains Crown prerogative, but we just seem to find ourselves in these conflicts, and they're never-ending conflicts. What is it, 16 years in Iraq and Afghanistan? We've been in Syria now for a few, and I can't see the end of these things. And the broader question is, what's the strategy? What do we want? Well, we want a better government for the people of Syria, but are we prepared to go in and make it? Is the military force the only force? We've used clear, hold and build and shape in other places. I think we need to be doing more politically. The UN needs to be doing much more in this. And I don't know about you, but I'm getting sick of just hearing people talk about these things. We need some action. And that's what we see through the President in the United States, Donald Trump, has shown moral leadership and has taken action, and good on him.
Yeah, Roger Shanahan, Peter talking there about a real clear strategy. And that's been the problem with this is there hasn't been that clarity. Obama was accused of underestimating even the rise of Islamic State, and we've been reacting to events, haven't we, rather than having any clear, direct strategy here. So what is that? If there is a strategy emerging from this, getting rid of Islamic State or keeping the Assad regime or dividing up parts of Syria, how do we get to something that is cohesive out of what we're seeing right now?
Listen, it's tremendously difficult, Stan, and part of the problem is people have been looking to Washington for leadership on this, but the reality is Washington's never had the levers to affect change in Syria.
I think as you were saying, there are other countries with much greater influence.
And to its north is Turkey, who's been interfering from very early stages, a 900-kilometre long border.
It has its own domestic concerns because the role of the Kurds and potential, Kurdish problems within Turkey as well.
And we see, Turkey, President Erdogan is very capable domestic politician, but he's shown himself to be not a very good foreign policy politician. And then we have countries like Lebanon and Jordan who would rather that the problem just went away. And as you mentioned before, Russia and Iran, who are much more invested historically in terms of blood and treasure in the country. So the US understands the US has limitations in its ability to force outcomes in a country.
North Korea trade will be top of the agenda for US and China as the leaders of the two largest economies in the world meet in Florida. That's the first meeting between US President Donald Trump and China's Xi Jinping since Trump took office.
President Trump and the First Lady arrived in Florida a short time ago for what promises to be the most consequential meeting of his presidency. Just before them, President Xi arrived in Palm Beach, the leaders of the world's two economic superpowers, but with sharply differing visions.
We're getting just absolutely ripped by China. We can't continue to allow China to rape our country.
Travel down the coast from here to the port of Miami, and you can see what the president is talking about. Far more goods are coming in from China than American products going the other way. It's a massive imbalance, and the president has threatened to introduce tariffs, which could spark a trade war. But the local mayor says that must be avoided.
The president would like to see more of a balance in the exports and the imports, but I don't think we're going to get into a trading war with China. It's, again, it would not be good for the United States, and it wouldn't be good for China either.
And the picture is more complex than the campaign rhetoric. Take Apple's iPhones. This is an American company that chooses to manufacture in China. In total, US companies account for 40% of the imports coming in from the Asian superpower. And within America, there's more and more Chinese investment, like this windscreen facility in Ohio, creating tens of thousands of jobs. This is the #1 foreign policy concern of the Trump administration. There's frustration that China hasn't done more, and Donald Trump has threatened to go it alone. A bad idea, says this North Korea expert.
We're going to do a lot better at it if we were doing this in conjunction with China and with the Republic of Korea.
A dramatic shift from the White House over Syria. Donald Trump called the chemical weapons attack on Syria town early in the week as a disgrace to humanity. While Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, he labeled as part of the country's problem instead of the solution.
Yesterday we saw Abdul Hamid al-Youssef grieving for his twin children poisoned in the attack. Today he suffered the further agony of burying them. Often the images we see from Syria are of helpless victims, caught in a spiral of violence that they have no way of controlling. But today these Syrians became activists, doctors, rescue workers, children. They're demanding punishment for the Assad regime and protection from the international community. And growing signs tonight, both could come from the Trump administration. Its top diplomat hinting strongly the US could respond militarily and saying President Assad will eventually have to go.
It's a serious matter. It requires a serious response.
Today, America's commander-in-chief honored wounded warriors from past conflicts. This has been a big stress test of his America First approach, a philosophy predicated on a narrow view of US interests in which exercising moral and humanitarian leadership was not considered central. But the chemical attack has clearly altered that thinking, as he indicated tonight aboard Air Force One.
I think what Assad did is terrible. I think what happened in Syria is one of the truly egregious crimes, and it shouldn't
Syrian government continues to claim it wasn't responsible for the chemical weapons attack.
Our army has never used chemical weapons and will not use chemical weapons.
The gruesome images from Syria do appear to have stirred a visceral response from Donald Trump. He often reacts to what he sees on television. There are increasing indications his outrage will be expressed in some kind of military response.
And Trukai Sports is up next. Good news for the Pukpuks and more on the Barramundis in their international tour. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The PNG Pukpuks have won their second match against Guyana in the HSBC Hong Kong 7 Series. The Pukpuks were dominant against Guyana with a massive 31-5 win this afternoon. Earlier in the day, the PNG Pukpuks opened their Hong Kong 7 Series campaign with a thrilling 26-21 win over Uruguay. Pukpuks Wesley Valley scored a double, while Arthur Clement and Hensley Peter scoring a try each.
A little bit of experience, and with that Favaro is them.
The Pukpuks opened day one of the HSBC Hong Kong 7 Series with a lot of energy. Arthur Clement with the first kick of the day. Capitalizing on the early penalty, Clement soon found himself bursting with real pace out wide for the first try of the tournament.
Clement flies away for the opening try.
Minutes later, PNG almost ran away with their second, but was called back for a forward pass from Manu Gais to Clement. Uruguay took the opportunity inside Pukpuk's territory, spreading the ball out wide before a quick short passing game put them back into contention. A minute later, Uruguay capitalizing on Pukpuk's error and almost took the lead, but was forced with a knock-on thanks to Arthur Clement's try-saving tackle.
Interesting. The Papua New Guineans playing with all of their passion.
Turning the negative into their favor, a show of pure speed by Wesley Valley, outracing his opposite number for a solo try as the first stanza ticked to a close.
Chase is good from Uruguay. The cover defence is going to scoot back. They won't get the man flying away.
A bit of direction from coach Douglas Guys during the break. Then PNG's physicality definitely shown just seconds in the second half as Wesley Valley raced away with his second of the day.
Make it back-to-back tries, Wesley Valley.
The extras from Manu Guys put PNG 14 points clear, but not for long. Just under 3 minutes and Uruguay hit back with a try to narrow the margin. However, Hensley Peter with his quick feet and superb double pump move with the ball proved just enough to fool Uruguay for another solo try.
It's going to be Peter with the same hairdo as Valley.
Uruguay, determined not to lay down, had the last say on the game with a grandstand finish. But that try was too little too late. The Pukpuk secured a 26-point victory to top Pool G table in the first day of the HSBC Hong Kong 7 Series. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
In cricket, efforts to improve their standing in the World Cricket League Championship from 4th placing are now at a standstill that the Barramundis were defeated 2 ODI matches to 1 by the United Arab Emirates. After losing by a massive 82 runs to UAE in the ODI series opener last Sunday, the Barramundis made a great comeback with a 26-run win that equalized the scoreline at 1-all. Unfortunately, the Emirates team was not going to be beaten easily at home, and they made sure of that. Batting first, the Emirates recorded 9 for 251 in the allotted 50 overs. Emirates opening batsman Rohan Mustafa wrought havoc for PNG with his maiden ODI century of 109 runs. In the second inning, PNG's chase ended quickly as a byproduct of a top-order collapse, which saw them at 5 for 16 just after 20 overs. The home side was too strong and the Barras were eventually all out at a disappointing 148 after 35 overs. Still on the Barras in the United Arab Emirates, they are currently playing against the home side again, this time for the opener of the Intercontinental Cup. PNG is at 4th place on the ladder while the host is on the 8th, and after the ODI loss, this is PNG's chance to do better. They will go through 4 match days before the tour wraps up for the Hebao PNG Barramundis. And Trukai Sports continues after the break. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. PNG Sports Shop Trophy House has organized a darts tournament at Vision City Mega Mall on May 7th. The one-day event will be a singles elimination mixed tournament open to both male and females aged 18 and above. The competition will be open to 128 players and is expected to draw a large crowd as the top darts players battle it out to win a prize of 2,500 kina. The International Day of Sports for Development and Peace was commemorated today at Coronation Primary School. The event was hosted by the PNG Olympic Committee in conjunction with NRL PNG, Cricket PNG, and Karate PNG.
The International Sports Day for Development and Peace is a day that signifies the development of sport. This is an event recognizing the importance of sport in the country.
We play our part as sport organizations, given that it's an event associated with sport and recognizing the importance of sport and what sport can do to advance human rights and community development, social and economic advancement as well.
Different organizations around the country also play their part in commemorating the day.
The United Nations office is also doing their activities as well. The other sport organizations, they would also be doing their activities as well, but I'm sure we can do a lot more.
They visited Coronation Primary School where students took part in fun activities organized by PNG NRL, Cricket PNG and Karate PNG. They were taught skills and played fun games in the different sporting codes. Coronation Primary was the only school visited today, but there are hopes of getting more schools involved in the years.
We just chose Coronation School, just a small activity to commemorate the day, but I think, going forward in future, we'd like to do a lot more with more other schools. We have a lot of sports, so we can use a lot more sports to go out and promote sport during this time.
Elijah Levitt, National EMTV Sports.
NRL PNG visited the Cheshire homes today in conjunction with the NRL Inclusive Day. Children were taken through fun rugby league drills and skills training by League Long Life officers.
The session is part of NRL's League Belong Life Inclusive Day program, which expands to reach beyond primary schools and to other community organizations.
League Belong Life program, we have an inclusive program too. So when it comes to inclusive disability day, we come and visit people living with disability to get them involved in sports, so we don't leave them left out of the community.
This is the third year NRL PNG has visited Cheshire homes. They will also be visiting other community organizations.
This is school every time we come here, plus the other centers like Kalang Service and Gero and Red Cross special school up in special education, Hola, and Hola Cheshire Services.
Different activities were planned for the day, also highlighting the need of participants of all abilities.
Kids were all excited about the program today. They all geared up and ready for the program today that we'll be taking today. And the kids came with their parents, and parents also came and also took part in the program, and they're all excited about the program.
NRL development officers delivered key social messages on respect and the importance of education to the children.
We are here to celebrate Disability Day, and next time we'll be visiting other centers like Kalang Services and Red Cross Special Education.
Elijah Vet, National EMTV Sports.
To the NRL now, and the first match of round 6 last night saw the Sydney Roosters trampled on by the Broncos Fury and left at the wrong end of a 24-point deficit. The Broncos' Anthony Milford was the X-factor this time as Brisbane clawed their way back to a win. With only 2 wins from 5 games to their name and facing an opponent that is 4 places ahead of them on the points ladder, the Brisbane side knew it was a match they had to win. The opening try from the Roosters jolted the Bronx into action. The defenses grew stronger, stood fast, and by the 27th minute, Broncos led by 14 points to Roosters 8. Anthony Milford's massive hit on Mitchell Pearce was probably the force that saw the Roosters' wind knocked out for good. Despite Roosters coach Trent Robinson's urgings for them to fight fire with fire, the Roosters were burnt beyond repair. At full time, they had 8 points to their name, while the Broncos a massive 32 points. Novak Djokovic was drawn to face Spain's Albert Ramos Vinolas in the first match of Serbia's Davis Cup quarterfinal against Spain, a responsibility he was happy to take on. The former world #1's appearance in his home city of Belgrade is one of several intriguing plots as the team competition reaches the business end with 4 hard-to-call ties.
Since opening the year by winning the Doha title, world #2 Djokovic has managed only 6 victories, and his ATP race points total of 475 looks tiny compared with the 4,045 already amassed by a resurgent Roger Federer.
I'm obviously very much inspired to play my best tennis in front of the home crowd. We don't get to have many opportunities to play for Davis Cup for our country, especially in our country.
An early defeat by 117th ranked Dennis Istomin at the Australian Open was followed by 2 defeats by Kyrgios in Acapulco and Indian Wells. He then withdrew before the start of last week's Miami Open, citing an elbow injury.
Well, to be the #1 of the team, maybe it's a little bit more responsibility to me, but I will try to do my best like all the time, like all the matches, and then we see the result. No? We know that this eliminatory is really difficult. We play against Serbia, in Serbia with Novak Djokovic, so will be really tough, but we'll try to do our best.
That is why all eyes will be on the 12-time Grand Slam champion on the indoor hard court in the Serbian capital.
It's been going well. I'm happy with the players. They've been practicing good. We came here with enough time to get used to, to the surface and everything. So, I'm quite happy.
Spain will offer a formidable test, even without world #5 Rafael Nadal. World #19 Pablo Carreno Busta has been one of the form players on the ATP Tour this year, and will be supported by 24th ranked Albert Ramos Vinolas. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
And that story wraps up True Kai Sports for tonight. I'll be back with the weather for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned for that.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux. And now to the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Port Moresby mostly fine with chances of afternoon showers or 2 later. Rain showers occurring in Daru. Cloudy in Kerama and mostly fine with chances of some showers for Alatau and Popaneta. In the Mamasa region, Ley cloudy with chance of morning shower or 2. Madang becoming cloudy with chances of few showers later. And Wewak and Vanimo mostly fine, although cloudy, then chances of afternoon showers. To the New Guinea Islands, Lorengau and Kaving are overcast with occasional showers and rain periods, and mostly fine, then chances of light rain showers developing in the evening for Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe, and Buka. And in the Highlands region, all centers becoming cloudy with some showers developing later. Forecast for small ships, there is a strong wind warning, still current for all coastal waters from southern PNG Indonesian border through to Torres Strait to Daru and Rosso, and Sudest Islands including Madang to Bogia, to Wewak, to Aitape and Vanimo, and northern PNG Indonesian border. Also for New Ireland and northern tip of East New Britain. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daro to Kiwai Island, to Kerama, to Yule Island, to Hood Point, Samurai Island, with waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, with waters of Samurai Island to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, and with waters of Finschhafen through to Whittier Strait, CRC Islands to Long Island, seas 5.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Bedang to Boge to Wewak to Aitape and Vanimo to northern PNG Indonesian border, seas 2.0 to 2.5 meters. And the waters of Manus and its western group of islands and waters of New Ireland to New Britain and Bougainville, seas 1.5 to 2 meters. And the ocean forecast for PNG areas. Coral seas, seas moderate to rough with southwest winds at 10 to 25 knots, increasing to 25 knots. Solomon seas, seas slight with clockwise winds at 10 to 15 knots. Bismarck seas, seas moderate to rough with west to northwest winds at 20 to 25 knots with gusts. And Pacific Ocean, seas slight with northeast to northwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux. And that's been the news, sports and weather for tonight. On behalf of the entire MTV News team, I'm Neville Choi. Pleasant viewing. Good night.